If you think strength is in muscles, you've never seen the strength of a mother's heartbeat. Today, I will tell you the life of a woman, not a queen, not a celebrity, not someone in history books. A simple grandmother whose life was a battlefield, whose tears were rivers, whose courage could shake mountains. Her name was Yumid Bano, which means hope, and hope was all she ever had. Before the world noticed her, the story begins in a dusty village with a little girl, barefoot, holding a broken doll made of cloth scraps. Her name, Yumid. She lived in a mud house where rain slept inside and sunlight waited outside. At night, her mother would count rice grains instead of stories. Sometimes dinner was just water with salt, but Yumid laughed anyway, because children dream even when their stomachs cry. Narrate or pause. We think our struggles are big until we hear someone else's. The torn swing at 8 years old, Yumid made a swing using an old rope tied to a mango tree. She flew high, wind in her hair, sky in her eyes, until the rope snapped. She fell, knee bleeding, lips trembling. But she didn't cry. She got up, tied the rope again, climbed again. That was her nature. Life pushed her. She pushed back. Childhood stolen at 14. At 14, an age of schoolbooks and games, she was dressed as a bride. Golden bangles, henna, a smile she didn't understand. The groom was older, not cruel but distant. She moved to his house, a house with 17 people, where she was the youngest woman but expected to be the strongest. She woke before sunrise, cooked, cleaned, carried water, fed cattle, her hands cracked, not from cold but from responsibility. She missed childhood like an unfinished sentence. Some nights she looked at the moon and whispered, "When will someone ask me what I want?" Silence answered. At 17, she became a mother. When she held her son for the first time, her world became soft for a moment. She kissed his forehead and promised, "You will study, you will become what I could not." Hope was reborn in her arms. But life doesn't stay gentle for long. News arrived like a thunderbolt. Her father died suddenly in their village. She ran miles barefoot, sari stained with mud and tears. At the funeral, she held the soil in her hands and said nothing. That day, silence became her closest friend. Monsoon came like a curse. Water rose, houses drowned, cattle died, fields vanished. Their home collapsed like a sandcastle. With a 2-year-old child on her hip, she watched everything she owned float away. A lifetime washed off in one night. No harvest, no money, no food. She waited at doors for leftover roadies. People called her beggar, but she tied her son to her back and walked town to town selling dry wood. Sweat, tears, rain, all looked the same. Her feet blistered, but she said, "Pain is temporary. My child's future is not." Years later, she gave birth again, a daughter, but the baby got fever, burning like fire. No money for doctor, only prayers. She sat outside the hospital on the floor, singing lullabies through tears. Her daughter survived, barely, but that survival became the reason Yumid never gave up. When her husband lost work, relatives promised help, but help never came. They mocked her, "Educate children, you can't even feed them." That day she swore, one day they will eat their words. When her husband's health worsened, they moved into a government hospital corridor. That corridor became their home for 6 months. She washed clothes in public taps, cooked on a brick stove, slept on newspapers. But every night she told her children, "We are not poor. We are just passing through a dark tunnel." Hope was her blanket. She learned sewing. Needle pierced her fingers, blood-stained fabric, but she stitched until sunrise, rupee by rupee, dress by dress. Struggle became routine. When she became pregnant a 3rd time, relatives prayed for a boy. She gave birth to another girl. People taunted, "2 daughters, a burden, their weddings will destroy you." But she smiled softly and whispered, "Girls are not burdens. They are warriors not yet born." At a family gathering, someone said loudly, "Sons build homes, daughters break them." And for the first time in her life, Yumid stood up and replied, "A woman built every home you have ever lived in. Respect begins where ignorance ends." Silence fell. A storm had found its voice. She began selling pickles, bottle by bottle, village to village. People laughed at her small idea. But coins slowly turned into notes. For the first time, she bought books for her children with her own earned money. Just when business grew, her brother died in a road accident. Funeral, debt, darkness returned. Life was a pendulum swinging between hope and heartbreak. One night her hut caught fire. Maybe wind, maybe spark, but minutes later everything was ash. Her sewing machine melted, her stock burned, her savings disappeared, people said. "Stop fighting, accept your fate." She replied, "Destiny may write storms, I will write my survival." With 3 children, one sick husband, she slept under a broken school veranda. She used her dupatta as blanket. Rain dripped from the roof like tears from sky, but every morning she stood up again, because giving up was not in her blood. A woman named Shamim Begum discovered her at the market, impressed by her courage. She offered work, space, support. That stranger became a turning point. Sometimes angels have no wings, only kind words. Years passed, step by step, brick by brick, her business returned. Slowly, profits grew. She bought a sewing machine again, this time new, shining like her determination. She enrolled them in school. She skipped meals but paid fees. She walked hours to save bus fare. When teachers praised her children, her tired eyes sparkled like hidden diamonds. Education became her victory flag. Her elder son, pride of her soul, was hit by a truck while returning from school, leg fractured. Unable to walk for months, people whispered, "This family is cursed." But she held his hand and said, "Stand again, you were born to rise." After a year, he walked again, a miracle shaped by determination. The truck driver refused responsibility. Everyone told her, poor women don't win cases. But she went to court, alone, trembling but fearless. She fought 2 years, cried secretly, argued bravely, and she won. Compensation changed everything. Her eldest daughter topped exams, studied further, got job as a teacher. The same society that once mocked Umid now sent their children to her daughter's school. Life has a strange sense of justice. After years of peace, her husband's kidneys failed. Hospital, bills, hopeless nights. She sold her last gold bangles, wedding memory, to buy medicines. She cried, but with pride. Her youngest daughter won a scholarship abroad, new country. New world, new beginning. Umid watched her flight take off, the sky holding her dreams. She whispered, "Go, fly, I have walked enough for all of us." At 65, she was no longer a struggling woman. She was a mother of a teacher, a nurse, and an accountant, a grandmother to children who read English storybooks to her every evening. The mud house she once lived in was now replaced by a home she built with her tears. She sits in an armchair by the window, silver hair, soft wrinkles like map of mountains climbed. Grandchildren sit around her, wide-eyed, holding notebooks, and she tells them, "Every storm made me stronger. Every tear watered my garden. Every failure was training for a victory I could not see." She smiles at you, the listener, and says, "If I can survive life, you can survive today." Let that sink in. Feel it in your bones, carry it forever. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support allows stories like Umid's to live forever. And remember, storms end, but those who walk through them become legends.